In the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, inside the residence of 1122 King Road, a gruesome murder of 4 University of Idaho students has just been committed. With no murder weapon, suspects, or clear motive, this case not only shocked the residents of Moscow, Idaho, but the whole nation. Police reviewed countless surveillance footage, searched through car records, and obtained DNA from a knife sheath left at the scene of the crime, all of which linking to 28-year-old criminology student Bryan Kohberger. With such a heinous crime committed and solid DNA evidence, it's no surprise prosecutors would be seeking the death penalty. So why is it a month before the trial is set to start this August, a last-minute plea deal is accepted? This is bananas, so let's talk about it. First, we start with a disclaimer. Everything I share in this video is based on my own research, opinions, and perspective. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as fact without doing your own research. This video will contain sensitive topics such as burglary, violence, and murder. Viewer discretion is advised. For this video, I don't want to dive too much into this case, but more so the lead up to this unexpected plea deal. If you're watching or listening to this video, I'm sure you're familiar with this case, and out of respect to the victims, I don't want to go too much into detail regarding this horrendous crime. If you want more precise details regarding this case, there are plenty of other videos out there. But the simple facts are that Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were brutally stabbed to death in their off-campus home. There were 4 promising young adults whose lives should have never been taken by Bryan Kohberger. He may have thought he committed the perfect murder, but that is far from the truth. So let's start with the night he was arrested. Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th, 2022 in his home state of Pennsylvania for 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. At the time of his arrest, Kohberger was staying at his family home in Pennsylvania and had no clue the FBI was surveilling him and his movements. You see, at this point, the FBI was on Kohberger's tail because there was a knife sheath left at the scene of the crime under Madison Mogen's body that contained touch DNA at the button snap. This touch DNA was ran through the criminal database. Unfortunately, nothing popped up. So then they decided to run it through heritage databases, basically like 23andMe, all of those databases, which did come up with a match of Kohberger's family tree, which investigators kind of led down and was like, this guy's looking suspicious. So by the time Kohberger got to Pennsylvania to stay with his family, FBI was already on his case and was already surveilling the whole home. So what investigators needed was Kohberger's DNA so that they could actually run it against the touch DNA from the knife sheath. And how they got this DNA was literally from the garbage can. Investigators waited until Kohberger threw away the family's trash, which he threw it away in the neighbor's trash can, with gloves on. That's already suspicious in my opinion. So investigators are going through the trash and they find something they can get a sample from and they run it and boom, the sample matches as the father of whoever's touch DNA is on that knife sheath. Ooh, got your ass. And that's exactly what investigators needed to go do their arrest. So the police bust into that house and you know what Kohberger's doing? He's in the kitchen. Doing what? Going through the garbage. With gloves on. That's suspicious. That's weird. A few days after his arrest, he then has his extradition hearing where he agrees to go back to Idaho to face his charges. Once back in Idaho, he had his arraignment where the judge asked how he'd like to plead, and Kohberger just stayed silent. Cat got your tongue? So the judge entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. State prosecutors then announced they would be seeking the death penalty with a trial to start in June of 2024. It's July 2025, so you could say it was delayed. Now, this trial delay comes from the defense as they have filed countless motions. Motions to strike the death penalty. Motions to ban cameras from the courtroom. Simply telling the judge, we need more time. They straight up told the judge, we just need more time. So that's why we need to delay this trial. And I guess it worked because it delayed it by like a whole year. However, a scheduling order was issued by the state of Idaho for the trial to start on August 11th, 2025. Oh, but there won't be a trial. No, there won't. Because as of July 2nd, 2025, Brian Koberger was granted a plea deal and pled guilty to all charges. He will serve life in prison without the possibility of parole, but avoids the death penalty. Now, this plea deal comes as a shock to a lot of people, especially since prosecutors were so ready to take on this trial. So why did they decide to strike this deal now? That's a question many people are wondering, especially some of the victims' families. The same families who were not notified of the plea deal until after it was already offered. It was as a shock because it seemed like the prosecution had a really solid case against Koberger. So what was the benefit of them taking this? Perhaps the death penalty was only put on the table by the prosecution to be used as a scare tactic or a bargaining tool for a confession. I mean, we got an admission, but we didn't get really a confession. At his hearing, he remained stone cold and provided short answers when accepting his charges. He was not required to give a motive or details regarding the crime. So now I ask you, was justice served? With no true account of that night, we may never know why Madison, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were taken too soon. So there you have it. That is the lead up to the guilty plea of the Idaho 4 killer. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars, as he should. But now I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I realized last video I did not introduce myself properly, so hi, my name is Annabelle. I am the host of this channel. It's Bananas. If you prefer audio versions, I am also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can check it out. It's Bananas. I'd love to hear from you guys, so please leave a comment below. Feel free to comment on this video or any suggestion for a future topic you'd like to see me cover. But that is all I have for you guys today, so stay safe out there because it's Bananas.